This is the Seahawkers Podcast, episode 343. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers. Joining me, my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
I don't know about you, Brandon, but I'm in a stellar mood today for a number of reasons. To start with, it is now September in Montana, and September and October, that's why you live here. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. And the catfishing offseason's over. We're rolling into week one.
Regular season is here. Time for real football. Oh, man, I missed it.
Life is good.
It's been a long off season. We got a little bit of preseason football. Hey, we had some preseason excitement. We got a shutout. Our Seahawks shut out the Chargers 27-0. That's kind of a nice way to finish off the preseason too.
The preseason emblematic of last season. A couple of games that everything stinks, and in a game that everything was amazing. So take what you will from that.
I will take all the awesome things.
Okay.
And just leave all the negative stuff behind, because those guys are all backups. They're not on the team anymore.
Yeah, exactly. But did give you a little bit more confidence seeing the team perform better all the way around, especially defensively, especially against the run.
Yes.
That was good to see. The only game that I really watched all the way through, and actually enjoyed it a fair amount, for sure.
It was the one that was worth watching all the way through, because the other two games, you got about 15 minutes in and you go, this isn't going all that well. I'm out.
Yeah, it seems like my fault for not watching them live.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I just thought I'd do an early take the blame of this season.
Oh, right. Yeah, well, we don't do that in the preseason, so.
Oh, okay.
I think instead of taking the blame, you're trying to take credit for this win, which is also inappropriate.
It was kind of a humble brag.
Well, the Seahawks cut down to their 53-man roster this week, and then they made some more moves. Like always, once they come out with that actual list of 53 names, it's never the final list. And I thought we'd go through it and see who are some of these guys who made the team. There's some new names here.
Sure, absolutely. And we'll probably see some more changes before week one.
There are going to be changes by the time this show releases. So we're going to talk about somebody who's right on the team as we speak, and then isn't on the team by the time it's getting into your ear holes.
Yeah. I mean, for example, somehow the Seahawks gave up on future Hall of Famer Reed after
John
last
Reed,
show.
Yeah, you've already forgotten his first name.
It's a forgettable first name. No offense to all the Johns out there, but it's about as I don't know John from Adam. So
yeah, John Reed already gone, and they bring in Sidney Jones from Jacksonville.
Yeah. Looks like he also played for the Eagles a little bit there
He was drafted by the Eagles. He played college football at the University of Washington, so a lot of Seattle area folks familiar with him. In Jacksonville, they had Shaquille Griffin on one side, C.J. Henderson on the other side, and so a little bit of a guy who wasn't able to crack into the starting lineup, and now maybe he comes over and takes over for Tre Flowers, because this was the other news that we heard. Well, we'll get into the 53-man roster stuff, but DJ Reed came out the other day and said, oh yeah, they moved me over to the left side now. Akello, he's apparently in the back. Well, he didn't say anything about Akello, but he did say that Tre Flowers was over on the right side. So starting lineup week one sounds like it's going to be DJ Reed on the left and Tre Flowers on the right side.
The defensive left or the offensive left?
The defensive left. So DJ Reed playing in the Shaquille Griffin, Richard Sherman spot on the field.
Yeah, I was surprised that people were surprised by that. That seemed like that was what the plan was all along. But
I think the plan, though, well, it's tough to tell because nobody was playing in terms of starters other than Jordan Brooks on the defense for most of this preseason. So the idea was, here Akello Witherspoon's getting all this money. He's going to be slotted to play that left side, which is where they had him lining up in the preseason. It sounds like he's going to be relegated to backup, though, and Tre Flowers will get the start on the right. So I think that's probably a little bit of a surprise to people that Akello, considering what they paid for him in the offseason, isn't getting the starting job.
Do you think that it's more a reflection of how Pete felt Tre Flowers played or the way Witherspoon played? Because to me, it sounds more like Pete was excited about what he was seeing out of Flowers. And it was like, okay, well, we need him on the field. And we're definitely keeping DJ Reed out there. So we'll have Witherspoon as almost starter level backup on the left.
And if that's what the case is, that's fine. I enjoy having depth, especially if it's starting level depth. It's not like we saw anything amazing from Akello in the preseason, but it's not like we saw anything devastating either that was a ton to worry about. And Flowers was fine too. It's just, and they make the trade for Sidney Jones. I'm not so sure that Sidney Jones isn't going to challenge Tre Flowers for that right cornerback spot.
Absolutely could happen. We'll see what happens when Jones gets in there and starts getting coached up by Ken Norton and Pete. And obviously they're high enough on the guy to bring him in via trade. So what round draft pick did they give up?
6th.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think the other thing, too, with both Akello and Jones that is the concern is that both of those guys have injury histories. Whether or not they're going to be able to, if you were to put them into the starting lineup, would those guys be the starters long term? Tough to say.
Tough to say, but got 4 guys there that look like they can all be at least a guy. And that's about all you can ask for to the cornerback position this year. It felt like it was going to be weak from the start. Hopefully DJ Reed is as healthy as he seems to think he is and can remain that way and duplicates the performance from last year. And then hope that pass rush comes through and makes those DBs look way better.
Yeah, and one of those DBs, Quandre Diggs, he was at the podium this week and sounded like he's close to having a contract done. Usually you don't see guys in contract disputes go up there and speak to the media, but everything he was saying made it sound like there was no concern about whether or not he'd be playing come week 1 against the Colts. He sounded like a guy who maybe isn't getting an extension, but is definitely getting some kind of money that will make him happy enough that he's going to be playing this season.
That was one of my favorite pressers I've seen in a long time. I loved the way Quandre Diggs handled that entire thing. He just gets up there, puts one arm up on the podium, just as chill as could be. And people are saying, well, you didn't, you've been having this hold in and And he's like, well, I don't know. I wouldn't call it really a hold in, but I needed to take care of my family a little bit. And we talked about it and they agreed. And it was just a matter of figuring out, the details of how that works. And, I think we're in a good place and it's going to get handled. Well, what do you think is going to happen next? When are you going to be there week 1 or whatever? Yeah, probably, man. What's going on? I
just had to get this taken care of. It's getting taken care of and it's going to be good.
I half expected him halfway through that presser when one of them asked him again about the contract or the quote hold in, and for him to just turn to him and be like, none ya. It's just none your business. Just lay off, dude. It's going to be fine. You chill out, media.
Now I just want Dwayne Brown to give us one of those same kind of explanations and just chill conversation.
He probably could. I mean, I think we all know that that's coming here sooner than later. That on a scale of 1 to 10, my concern about that's -47. It's definitely going to happen, and we'll go from there. But yeah, the Quandre Diggs press conference is great. DJ Reed had his press conference, and I love how at the end they went to the, go-to question of the offseason. Who's the funniest dude on the team?
Right.
And he's like, yeah, I don't know.
Diggs.
And then they tried to flip it around, who's the funniest member of the media? And he was just like, I don't know. You guys are all so serious. You kind of suck. It was great. I loved it.
I don't think he told them that they suck, but
but that was kind of I
don't hear you guys cracking any jokes, was his comment.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, well, if you guys weren't so lame, I might be able to, give you an answer, but it's all, you're basically he's basically the Joker up there being like, why so serious? Loved it.
Yeah, we got some dudes on the team that are kind of fun.
They at least fit my vibe, and that's all I ask for out of my football team is a bunch of guys that I think I would enjoy hanging out with. That's important to me, apparently.
Well, but what about the other guy that was up there and the only undrafted free agent from the 2021 class to make the final 53 roster, Jake Curran, the right tackle. Guy had been playing right tackle all this preseason, and you'd hardly even know because he didn't really screw up.
Pretty dang solid and earned himself a roster spot. I think that's really cool. I did not watch his press conference, unfortunately. I didn't see that one, but
it followed the same format of just a guy who seems pretty cool that I think you would get along with.
Sweet. All right. Well, welcome, Mr. Curran.
Yeah, welcome to him. He played about 120 snaps in the preseason and finished with average grades PFF-wise. He did have one penalty in the Chargers game. I don't think it was an accepted penalty, though, off the top of my head. But, yeah, good enough to make the team. An undrafted guy, a guy who, I guess that was the thing that came out during his press conference, is that it was a heart condition that caused him to really fall through the draft. But he said that he's had all the tests done and they say he's going to be fine. And he's, the team's not concerned. He's not concerned. So that's good. Maybe we got a deal on a. See, here's the thing about offensive linemen. You got Curran, who made the team. And then you had Stone Forsythe. They got a 6th round pick. When does this happen where the Seahawks have an undrafted lineman and a 6th round pick that end up making the 53-man roster? This is progress.
Yeah, maybe it is. I love your obscure trivia question that I don't think there's one person on the planet that could answer it. But
it was rhetorical anyway. I didn't have any expectation that people would know.
All right, good. Because the answer to that is I have no idea. But it's nice that they did find some depth at the bottom of the draft and in an undrafted free agency. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a good year on the offensive line, short of the concerns of center. But watching Fuller in the last game, I actually spent a lot of my time just concentrating on his play, and he was totally fine in that game.
He had some nice moments where blocking for Alex Collins, where he had a nice push up the middle, getting to the second level. And so you saw moments like that. Now, I think that there's a lot of teams that had their way with the Chargers in the preseason too. So I don't know necessarily what to make of it. And based off of Pete's comments either, I don't know what to make of who's going to be the starter between Fuller and Posick.
It's hard to say because Posick didn't practice much going down the stretch here or playing the preseason games. And you can tell that he is one of the guys that, if Pete has a doghouse, it sounds like he might be in it.
He could be in it. And one guy who was in it enough to get cut was Robert Nkemdiche, because we never saw him. And Pete sounded a little bit irked about the fact that, he said, how did he phrase it about Nkemdiche saying, well, he felt something in practice and it showed up on the MRI. It made it sound like it wasn't that big of a deal, but it did show up on the MRI. So he gave him credit for at least that bit of it. But
yeah, not enough credit to call it legit. That's for sure.
It showed up.
It showed up. Yeah. I mean, I thought he was faking. I guess it showed up on the MRI, but whatever. Good luck at your next stop.
All right. Well, let's go through I feel like we're kind of bouncing all over the place. QB, Russell, Geno, and then Sean Mannion made it initially, and then Mannion cut, and they bring in a Jaguars quarterback, Jake Luton.
Is he on the actual roster, or is he going to be practice squad?
I think they claimed him off of waivers. They have to add him to the 53, and then they could release him and put him on the practice squad, that sort of thing. They're always doing that kind of stuff.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, because it would seem like a total waste of a roster spot to carry a third quarterback.
Yeah, even the 49ers aren't carrying a third quarterback, at least not with their initial 53-man roster.
No. I mean, Trey Garoppolo, their starter, is going to be really interesting this year.
It's good. We can talk more about that later, too, I suppose.
Yeah.
They keep 5 running backs and a fullback, if you count Nick Bellore. You can count him at any number of positions on this team. But they keep Chris Carson, Alex Collins, Travis Homer, DJ Dallas, and Rashad Penny. I thought for sure one of those guys would get cut, but maybe they're thinking of trying to trade one of those guys, or maybe they're just thinking it's a 17-week season and you need to have 5 healthy running backs because we've seen what's happened in the past seasons with the way those guys get injured.
Yeah, and that was maybe my biggest takeaway from the preseason game was Alex Collins and his performance and what has been said about him in training camp leading up to the preseason here. He looks like a very serviceable backup, whereas Rashad Penny looks lost. I mean, I don't understand it. The thing that got me nervous was that they started playing Collins a lot throughout the game. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
All they're doing is trying to showcase him here so that they can either get him a job somewhere else or trade, get some trade value for him.
He was still in late in the third quarter.
Yeah, that started to make me nervous. And so I was really nervous about this today because if they would have cut Collins and kept Penny, I would have been kind of irate about it.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, you got to figure they're trying to trade Penny, right? You're not going to keep 5 backs.
He would be the one that you would have that expectation, at least that there would be some kind of trade value for. The Rams giving up a conditional 4th round pick to get Sony Michel. J.K. Dobbins went down for the Ravens this past week, which is a bummer, but that could mean that maybe you get a 5th or a 6th round pick for him.
I was going to ask what you thought the value might be. I mean, it feels like a 6th. He hasn't shown anything.
No.
His entire career, and coming off a major knee injury. I don't know.
And that's probably the reason why you do hold on to him, is because he is coming off a major knee injury and you would just want to give him a little bit more time. But I mean, he's coming to the end of his contract anyway after the season. So maybe you just ride it out and see what he does this year.
Okay. So my apologies to Michael Paul before I said this, one of our best little flockers.
I think he's used to it by now. I don't know if you have to apologize.
No, I do. Cause I don't like raining on his parade, but I think it's now time for me to say, I freaking told you so.
Can I do that with Akello?
That's up to you.
Okay.
I'm not the arbiter of that for each and every person. Just for my own.
You waited a whole 3 years. I guess I have a little bit of time to say.
Yeah, I actually waited. I mean, I had a hissy fit when they drafted him. I thought it was a terrible pick, and I told you so.
Moving on. They did cut Josh Johnson, but he was added to the practice squad. So have some depth there. At tight end, makes sense. Gerald Everett, Will Dissly, Colby Parkinson. I don't think there were any shockers there, but a little bit of a shocker at wide receiver when you saw them come out and they only had 4 guys at wide receiver: Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, D. Eskridge, and Freddie Swain. Now, those 4 names aren't a surprise, but people thinking that Penny Hart would probably make the team as that number 5 guy. But ultimately, he does get signed to the practice squad along with Aaron Fuller and Cade Johnson, and Cody Thompson. So I think they ended up with 4 guys at wide receiver on the practice squad. So that's where they're keeping their wide receiver depth right now.
Okay, that makes some sense, because when you initially said just the 4, I was like, wait, what? I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
And the way they move the guys up and down from the practice squad, I think that's how they can manage that, or at least until they figure out this initial wave of trying to juggle players who are waived from other teams and they want to bring them in and they don't know necessarily where they fit.
Eskridge with his first appearance there in the preseason and had a couple nice plays.
Had one catch where Gino just threw it a little bit high for him, but made a nice catch. And then also an end around where you got to see some of his speed. And that's kind of what I think we all had that expectation of that's what kind of player that he would be in the NFL.
Obviously, it's always kind of a gamble when you draft a guy, but the downside is on the very first play, he couldn't figure out where to get lined up. And, guys were yelling at him. Freddie Swain, I believe, was yelling at him, being like, over there, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So he's got some learning to do, but the physical skills seems to be there.
He'll figure it out.
Yeah.
At tackle, I mentioned Forsyth, Curran, and then Abuehi Shell Brown. They cut Island and Champion. They cut Jordan Simmons, which I think surprised some folks to a degree. Then they cut Phil Haynes to bring in a center from San Francisco.
Okay, that's news to me. I had not caught that yet. So
yeah, they got Dakota Shepley from the Niners, and they let go of Phil Haynes. So curious to see where he goes, if he ends up being a practice squad guy, or he had a pretty decent preseason.
Did he? Okay. Well, I mean,
he didn't jump out as being overly negative.
Sure. It's nice to have another guy, I guess, that you could take a flyer on if the center experiment blows up in their face early.
I thought we were going to see Phil Haynes at center in the preseason, and that never happened. So I wonder if there was something going on there. And Haynes has always had a little bit of trouble staying healthy, so yeah, I'm not broken up about it.
No, and I think that's a story that fits both Haynes and Simmons, right?
Oh yeah.
Like showed some flashes here and there, sure, of course, but just the body is not willing.
They were able to keep Greg Island on the practice squad as well as Pierre-Olivier Lestage.
No, the Lestage got stashed away on practice squad.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that was the dude from the Niners. I guess he's played all over the line, but he was a Canadian Football League guy too.
Well, maybe him and Lestage will be roomies.
Best buds.
Yeah.
Tyler Mabry made the practice squad at tight end. I think that does it for the offense.
Okay.
Defensive line. Now, they kept a lot of guys on the defensive line, which maybe not a surprise, because I think we were having a hard time deciding who, if there were any guys on the bubble that might get cut, but LJ Collier stays. I would have liked to see a little bit more from him out there playing against second stringers. But gosh, we hardly noticed any of LJ Collier out on the field. I felt like it was all the Alton Robinson and Rasheem Green show. They make the team. Kerry Hyder, Benson Mayowa, Carlos Dunlap at defensive end, and then defensive tackle Poona Ford, Brian Monet, and Al Woods.
Yeah. I thought Collier actually played a fairly solid game in the third preseason.
He didn't jump out at me at all.
I made a couple open field tackles and on assignment and wasn't doing anything spectacular, but he can play a little bit.
That was my takeaway from Brian Monet in the final game too. I was a little bit disappointed through the first couple of the games, and then in the third preseason game, I said, okay, well, maybe they just weren't taking those first couple ones seriously. They really wanted to play, and that's why everybody showed up for this game.
Or they maybe were working on different things too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's a bunch of the things that we don't know as fans watching the preseason games. And you're like, oh, well, this guy isn't doing this or that. Well, maybe he's purposely not doing those things. He's like, yeah, I got that shit on lockdown. I'd like to, work on some of the things I'm not so great at.
Yeah, it's not necessarily about winning, unless you're John Harbaugh, apparently.
Do you think there's a point where he actually started caring about that? Or do you think it's just kind of happened that way? And it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I racked up 20 preseason wins in a row just by accident.
Yeah. What division do they always seem to play in the preseason? Because we always play the AFC West, right?
You think I just know off the top of my head who Baltimore tends to play in the preseason?
I didn't. Again, that was about as random as your when is Seattle kept a 6th round draft pick as an offensive lineman and an undrafted free agent as
I'm
an
guessing
offensive lineman.
New York teams, Philly, Washington, maybe Pittsburgh. They're all kind of in that area.
Because if it's the NFC East, like, congratulations on your 20-0 record against the teams with the least depth in the league for the past 10 years.
Yeah, that would be my guess too.
I mean, I could look it up, but I just don't care that much. So you guys can do that right now.
I wasn't going to do it either. That's why I guessed.
Yeah.
Miles Adams was cut. That was Clinton Bonner's preseason crush on the defensive line. But Miles makes the practice squad. So congrats to that guy.
Yeah, a lot of the guys that you were, I don't know, like Mabry, right? I mean, that's an example for me where I saw he was cut. I was like, oh, well, that's kind of a bummer, especially with, Colby hurt and that sort of thing. Oh, wait, he's on the practice squad? Cool. And you heard Pete talk about it in his press conference about them expanding the practice squads and how much of a benefit he felt that is. And he also kept saying, well, a lot of these guys are going to be with us. A lot of these guys. And I mean, I guess he wasn't lying. I mean, they stashed a bunch of their own dudes on practice squad.
Oh, John Reed, the future Hall of Famer. He did make the practice squad. So, hey, he's sticking around.
Hey, all right. It's in play. It's in play. His career is right on track for a gold jacket.
I guess the bummer is that Heslop didn't make the list of practice squad guys. Of all the corners that I thought would be a candidate for practice squad, it would have been Heslop.
Okay.
It just seemed like a guy who was all over the field.
Yeah, he was fine. Sounds like Randall didn't make it.
They gave him a shot. He was out there starting in that game against the Chargers. So the corners they do keep: DJ Reed, Trey Brown, Tre Flowers, Ugo Amadi, Akella Witherspoon, Sidney Jones. Got a lot of dudes. There.
Yeah, and I guess we'll see if the gamble pays off.
And then at safety, Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams, Ryan Neal, and Marquise Blair getting the first touchdown of the game against the Chargers.
Yeah, getting his first action in a long time as well. And just kind of looked the part as to what he was billed as, right? Not so much that he really was the catalyst of the touchdown, but just on other plays around the field. I mean, he was thumping guys pretty good when he had the chance, and was moving with a lot of quickness and authority. And I don't know, I liked what I saw out of Blair in his return to action, especially for it being the first time in a very long time.
Absolutely. Yeah, the catalyst on that play, Cody Barton, makes the group of linebackers, obviously, along with Bobby Wagner, Jordan Brooks, Darrell Taylor, and Nick Bellore.
Yeah, so Nick Bellore, everybody's favorite player this year, yeah? Like we're all in agreement?
Yeah, he was the preseason MVP, dude.
Yes, absolutely he was. And he really did show out and was really good. Now, I think I owe Darrell Taylor an apology after the last podcast when I was making fun of him for not being able to turn.
He turned really well in this game.
Yeah. Well, maybe I don't know an apology. Maybe I expect a thank you from him, because apparently it was my coaching that got him to. He's like, oh, right. So after going straight, then you turn. And got a sack and a half and looked fairly dominant against backups.
Yeah, he got after the quarterback out in the open field, ran the quarterback out of bounds. I thought that was a really athletic play, just kind of where I was about to put in my notes that he was turning his back on the quarterback as he was booting out to the right side. And no, he just was like jogging backward and then flipped back around when the quarterback started to cross the line of scrimmage, and was able to, I think it was Daniel at that point, or maybe it was Easton Stick, able to push him out for like a 2-yard gain.
Yeah. So I thought that was a good performance for him. And that's exciting as the guy that I think as Seahawks fans, we know what we have in Dunlap. And so it's, okay, do we have that one other guy who can be special that can feed off of Dunlap, maybe getting the majority of the double teams? And he feels like the one where you go, yeah, I bet you it's him. So it's either him or Robinson.
I do like Robinson a lot from what we saw.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one for a breakout candidate, it would be Robinson. And that's based solely on the fact that he has a season of experience. And I am worried that there's still, Taylor made it sound like he's got all the rust knocked off. And man, a dude who doesn't look, I don't know of a guy other than maybe DK who looks better at the podium in a press conference. Darrell Taylor after the game. Yeah, he was looking like Lenny Kravitz up on the behind the podium.
He has his own sense of style, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Got to appreciate that. A lot of swag. Yeah, I guess if I had to pick that breakout out of the young guys in the pass rush, I think I would go with Taylor, because I think his ceiling is higher than Robinson's.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just feels like there's a better chance. Now, it might be more early than late, especially in your first full season in the NFL, especially when you've missed as much time as you have over the last 2 years. His last year in college and then the first year here with the Seahawks. So
right.
I could see him wearing down towards the end of the season or be a candidate to do that. But with all the pass rushers that they have in the stable there, maybe they can, balance out those snaps and keep them fresher.
Well, we can't leave out the special teams specialists, Tyler Ott, Jason Myers, Michael Dixon. And if you tuned in for the entire preseason game, you got a treat from Michael Dixon right at the end. Yeah.
And I'm embarrassed because I definitely turned it off just like moments before that.
Oh, but you saw the highlights.
I saw the highlight. That was outstanding punt. I mean, wow.
Yeah, all the way down to the 1 yard line. Aaron Fuller able to make it
what was
down
it, like
there.
70 yards?
Yeah, he was just past the 30-yard line.
It's a monster.
So I guess it would go in the record books as 60 because they count it from the line of scrimmage. But yeah, it's quite the punt. And he just stuck it right there at the 1.
And I don't know how he did it, because it was almost like he hit it, kind of like you hit like a hooded 4-iron off the tee, right? It was kind of like a stinger. and like yet still got it to check up like he hit a wedge.
Right.
That was magic. So I think it probably comes from his new sleeve. They didn't realize he had gotten the full arm sleeve in the offseason.
He went full left arm.
Yeah.
What else are you going to do? He couldn't go home to Australia this offseason, I guess. So He just spent time hanging out in Austin and getting ink.
Yeah, just sitting in the tattoo artist chair, apparently.
Well, what else do you have to work on?
I'm curious to what those tattoos are. I would have a sense that an Aussie would get some really amazing tattoos in one form or another.
Probably.
They'd be interesting.
You go kangaroo, koala, fighting.
Right.
And I don't know who wins.
Over a kiwi.
Oh, yeah. And then you have maybe like the Tasmanian devil in the background spinning around.
Sure. And then a crocodile that's coming up to swallow them all.
And then Crocodile Dundee holding up his knife and saying, "This is a knife."
To the crocodile.
Right.
Dang. I think if he didn't get that, regrets.
Maybe. Well, he's still got his right arm. So.
True.
Next
guy's not out of arms yet. There you go.
Well, that does it for the practice squad and the 53-man roster and tattoo suggestions for Michael Dixon.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we had everything that I had planned to talk about in the first half of the show.
There we go. So, you're welcome, people. The offseason is now officially closed.
We're actually going to be previewing a game next week ahead of the Colts.
Right.
I almost said Chargers again. It's another C name.
Well, one of those AFC teams, whatever.
Oh, they did get another guy in other roster news. Got a guy named Nigel Warrior.
Yeah, and if he's not awesome, I'm going to be pissed. That's a solid name.
How does another team like the Ravens let a guy like that go?
I don't know. Maybe he wasn't a big contributor to their undefeated preseason run.
No, I guess he played in Tennessee with Taylor.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
So there you go. Let go by the Ravens. Our gain. Future Hall of Famer, Nigel Warrior.
Absolutely.
What do you say we get to the second half of the show?
Well, why not? Because that's all I got to say.
Moving on into the second half of the show. And you mentioned a little bit of the 49ers near the top of the show. They have decided. Have they decided on a quarterback yet? Well, they actually got decided for him because Trey Lance ended up banging his finger on a helmet and it's going to be out for at least a week or so.
That's in the short term. But before that last preseason game, I'd heard John Lynch say something maybe it was Kyle, something to the effect of, "Oh, well, I mean, you guys haven't seen everything we can do with both Jimmy and Trey." Yeah. And then they go into this last preseason game. And I don't know if Kyle Shanahan woke up and forgot his name wasn't Bill Walsh, because he started rotating quarterbacks like he thought he was Bill Walsh. And it was one of the craziest things to see while you're trying to settle on a starter. And I get the idea being this situation, it's a better situation for Trey and these are for Jimmy and rotating in and out, but that's not going to work. I mean, you saw Sean Payton do it a little bit the last 2 seasons with Breeze and Taysom Hill.
Yeah, that was really rare though.
Right. And so you wonder, are they going to do it at that kind of frequency when both guys are healthy? Are they going to do it at all? Or was that just Kyle having a fun coach day? Woo, let's try something crazy.
Yeah, this is what we're going to put down on tape. So teams have to prepare for this. And it's just one extra thing that they have to think about. But I do think there is something to the idea of having Trey Lance out there as they've talked about having run packages, especially for him, especially with how much they're probably going to be running the ball, with them having a few plays here and there to where either he's going to take it and run with it if the defense isn't playing honest. And if they are, then it's just he's going to be in there to hand the ball off to the running back. Right.
And you did see that they had some success with that and doing all of the read option stuff with Trey. And, which is what I responded to that dude that got all mad at me for dogging Trey Lance a few episodes ago.
Oh, you responded to that guy?
Yeah. I just said, well, I mean, sure, he's going to be a nightmare for 4 or 5 weeks running all that read option stuff until he either A, gets hurt or everybody figures it out. But they had some success with it in the preseason games. And, Shanahan's famous for being pretty creative in the run game. So we'll see if that carries over into the regular season. And to Trey Lance's credit, he looked pretty good in the third preseason game. I watched Brett Coleman's breakdown on his performance so far this preseason, and I love the way that he kind of started the whole thing out just with, there's some good and bad. And, if you think he's going to be great, you might be right. If you think he's going to suck, you might be right. And, it gave a pretty honest breakdown of it. And I thought that was pretty cool. It definitely made me feel like vindicated in how I felt about Trey coming out of college.
And that you still don't really have a bead on where his future lies as an NFL quarterback.
Just in the idea of, there's some wow moments. There's no doubt about it. And then there's some simple stuff where you're just like, what in the world?
Yeah.
And you see him kind of get locked on to receivers here and there and fooled by, coverage rotations and things like that. But again, he's a rookie. Everybody gets fooled by that right out of the gate. And you got to learn how to adapt to that. But I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting subplot to the preseason. The Niners playing QB carousel.
QB carousel there. And over on the other coast with a quarterback that was rumored for many weeks as a guy who could go to the 49ers, Mack Jones, now the starter of the Patriots.
Yeah. And I think what you saw out of Mack in the preseason was the ability to play well on schedule. And that's something that Belichick and McDaniels really value. Sounds like he's done well in the locker room with the guys as a leader, which I think everybody would agree coming out of college that he does have some good leadership skills. I mean, nobody really questioned that. I don't see where he's going to be special other than possibly decision making because he does not have a special arm. He seems fairly accurate. I mean, he's good. He's good accuracy.
Right.
It's not amazing. It's not pinpoint. And it's not Drew Brees. But I think the bigger thing was if you're the Patriots, because people talked about, well, you sit him for the year and you let Cam Newton play, right? Who might still be the better quarterback. At that point, do you really want Mack Jones learning what it means to be a leader and a quarterback from Cam Newton?
I think there's probably some leadership qualities that Cam Newton has that would be beneficial for him.
Please. He is the anti Tom Brady when it comes to leadership style. There's no doubt about it. And he still writes all of his tweets and stuff in that crackhead format.
See, this is the thing that bothers you the most, though.
That and the pouting and the crybaby kid ass stuff that Cam brings to the table.
Well, yeah, I could do without that for sure.
I was surprised.
That's kind of one of those types of moves where this is, at least he had seen enough to know that he sees them as a guy for the future. And rather than deal with all the questions and nonsense, you can boost up your guy by saying, okay, you beat out the former league MVP. And now, go get him, Tiger.
Yeah.
Which is how Belichick talks.
So what do you think happens with Cam going forward?
Where does he go?
I think he sits out of the league until somebody has a major injury.
Cowboys
Some people
seems
talk
like
about Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas seems to be the place where he's been linked.
Makes some sense with Dak coming off of a massive injury, and then you hear about the shoulder issues in camp, and I mean that's got to be at least a little worrisome.
What about the Saints, though? I know that Jameis was named the starter, but how long could that last?
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Within the division, there's some familiarity there with Sean Payton.
What about the Raiders?
It'd be interesting.
You know how Gruden is. Did they keep Mariota?
Let me double check just to see where he's at.
And obviously Derek Carr's there, but you know how Gruden covets quarterbacks.
Well, but they also have Peterman.
Did you just say that with a straight face?
Who was the guy that torched the Seahawks in the preseason?
Peterman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm always getting that dude mixed up with somebody else.
Yeah, you have a hard time keeping him straight. That's for sure.
Peter, man.
Yeah, exactly. How do you forget the forgettable Peterman from Pitt?
Yeah, Mariota's there.
Okay.
But yeah, here's an article that says Las Vegas Raiders should sign Cam Newton because he's better than Marcus Mariota.
Are we sure at this point?
Hey, you know what, though? Mariota was your guy, and he's not starting, and now Jameis is. So you might hear from Jared on this.
I hope not. I saw him a couple days ago, and he did not bring it up. I did not remind him of it either.
Be aware.
All right. So I started out the podcast with, and I told you so, and there's maybe I whiffed on one.
Maybe.
There's just some balance to the show.
If you want to fight about that, I feel like both of you came out pretty even. Like, both guys are borderline starters.
Yeah, they're both kind of meh.
Well, people who aren't meh are members of the flock. They are awesome.
Yeah, I mean, literally the best humans to walk the earth. I don't know how they wake up every day with that amount of awesome coursing through their veins, but they do.
They do. And I think it rubs off on us all. So we want to thank our executive producers, DCH, Dustin Monk, Brian Shaw, Kevin Watterson, and Jake Burdine.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that a dream team right there?
I think if you're going to put together a basketball team, they would probably win a gold medal.
I wonder who would play which position. I guess we didn't do like Dan Patrick show and have them all list height and weight. So
I think the only one I haven't met in person is Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I've put Jake down at center because he's going to be the tall guy, at least of the group that I think.
And he has a presence.
I guess I haven't met Dustin in person yet either.
Right.
I put DCH at point. Yeah, I need Kevin's dimensions before I fill out the rest of this roster.
I do like DCH at point. He apparently was a pretty decent high school football player.
Okay,
he, was a little athletic-y.
I was between him and Brian for point.
Yeah,
and I don't know anybody's basketball talent.
I guess it's a crapshoot.
Other than
maybe we should have an Anchorman style fight to to figure that one out.
to figure out their positions in the basketball team.
Yeah, I'm gonna work this in every episode from here on out, I think.
Well, Brian Lowry came in at $145.44, the annual $12.12 a month. So a welcome to the flock to Brian.
Dude, that's awesome. Appreciate that, Brian. And just in time, because the Ring of Honor, the Discord, all of that throughout the season, it's just so much fun, and welcome.
Yeah, it's ramping up. The Pick'em League's ramping up. We had emails flying back and forth as somebody tried to talk trash on the message board. And then everybody found out that it goes out via email every time there's a post. And so that was fun.
Wow.
Yeah. Have you ever been on one of those office? Well, you don't work in an office, but like those office email chains where somebody does the reply all and says something. And then everybody's like, hey, don't reply all. But they do the reply all to everybody. And then people start getting pissed. That's kind of what happened this past week.
That sounds like a modern day cluster right there.
I don't know how to turn off the message board.
So just stop messaging each other. If you're going to talk trash, do it in the Discord or the Ring of Honor, right?
I think the people who were bothered the most by it figured out how to go into the settings and turn off the emails notifications for the message board.
Yeah, it would probably be the way to go.
I think you have to do it from the desktop. You can't do it from the app. So anyway.
Yeah.
That was
emails.
That's the drama we dealt with.
What is this, an episode about Hillary Clinton? Come on now. Nobody cares about emails. We've all figured that out.
We're done with the emails. We're moving on. Philip Semenic came in at $36. So welcome to the flock to Philip.
Heck yeah, Philip. I wonder if Philip is also rooting for a reunion with Philip Dorsett being cut from the Jags.
The fellow Phils?
Yeah.
I don't think he's coming back to Seattle.
No?
You want to do that again?
I don't know.
He couldn't make it down in Florida. Why would Seattle want him back?
Yeah, well, I mean, how many good decisions have the Jaguars made since forever?
I don't know.
I think the answer is zero.
Seems like a trivia question that I wouldn't know.
I think the answer is obvious. You should know this. And if you don't, you might be a dunce. The answer is zero.
All bad decisions.
Yeah, I mean, they just traded away G. Minshew. like for a bag of footballs, basically.
And Sidney Jones.
Idiots.
Minshew's going to end up being the starter in Philly.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yes. I can't believe the Broncos didn't trade for him a while back before they signed Teddy.
Oh, I see. Yeah, before Teddy.
Yeah.
Minshew is like the young Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like, at least,
dude, you took the words right out of my head. Like, he is our next Beard. He is, except for the stash, and it's so great. I mean, we need that guy in the league every single year, and Minshew is definitely that, because we know Fitz has maybe 2 more in him.
Yeah, tops, right?
So yeah, I think we are now positioned for Minshew to be the new Fitz.
Yeah, you got to have that personality guy in the NFL.
And I like, so they talk about Minshew mania, right? And I like that his mania, like unlike Tebow's was kind of like very serious. Like the Minshew mania, like everybody loves Minshew for like, jean shorts and mustaches. Like, I think that's great. I actually love that. It's a more lighthearted mania.
It is. And I feel like everybody gets it.
Yeah, we all are actually in on that joke. It's like Joe Dirt is playing quarterback in the NFL.
From one beard to another, because we were talking about the beard. That transition didn't work.
That's all right. They can't all be winners, Brandon. You go with it. Say it with enough confidence this time. And we're gonna go with it. Do it. Just say it with enough confidence.
From one beard to another.
Yeah.
Just Carlos on Twitter at Soul Rack. One of those two. I'm looking at the profile picture and it's an outstanding beard. So I'm hoping that it's legit. Like, this is not just some fake profile pic that you pulled down just to show off an awesome beard.
Or like a glue-on beard or something. Like, what a real one.
But this gets back to our conversation about tough presidents.
Oh, good. I was hoping somebody would latch on to this. I had a lot of fun with it.
He says Abe Lincoln was the best fighter, bar none.
Oh, okay.
He used to challenge people to duels just so he could kick their ass legally. Once a man was interrupting his friend's speech, and he went into the crowd and knocked the dude out so his friend could finish. Also, he's 6'4".
That's a good point. He has a long reach, and I didn't realize Honest Abe was such an ass kicker.
I didn't either, but apparently
it fits. That feels right, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think there may have been a podcast. Somebody recommended a podcast that had some of the history of Abe. That may be where that came from.
All right.
Steve Davies comes in and says, "What about Ulysses Grant?"
Yeah, I think Grant's go-to move would be to bribe everybody to take a fall, because he was notoriously corrupt.
Okay.
Yeah. Which that move may work. I mean, that could be a Godfather kind of move.
Another military guy, though.
Yeah, I mean, not all military guys are necessarily honorable.
Oh no, but I'm saying he has that tool in the toolbox.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think Steve was throwing him out there as a candidate that we didn't consider that we should at least consider.
A dark horse.
Kenneth Reyes comes in and says, "Now I want to know which NFC West coaching squad would be the best in an Anchorman style fight."
Well, I think this is pretty easy, isn't it? We have the son of a former heavyweight champion on our coaching staff, and Ken Norton Jr.
Ooh. So I was thinking about this in a different way. I was thinking that all the 4 head coaches from the West would be teaming up to take on head coaches of another division within the conference.
Oh, that's interesting as well. Let me put it to you this way. I think Pete could give as good as he gets, but just being up there in age, it's going to be tough on him. And then I think Kingsbury would wet himself. McVay would whine about it the entire time. And Kyle would be too concerned about his flat-brimmed hat getting messed up to want to participate.
Yeah, I don't think I like the coaches we're going into battle with.
No. Against maybe Tomlin or something. Tomlin and
Harbaugh. Those guys come to mind.
And Stefanski.
Riverboat Ron over there for Washington.
Yeah, but you got Bubble Butt McCarthy in the NFC East too. That's not going to help.
Yeah, but you got the Syrian army.
That's true. He seems like kind of a slight guy. And then, I mean, I guess Joe Judge seems like it could be tough. But if Jason Garrett is his backup, what would he do? Just like blink everybody to death?
Probably.
Did you see the look on his face when Daniel Jones threw the interception in the last preseason game?
No.
I think he wanted to murder Daniel Jones, bury him, dig him back up, murder him again, bring him back to life, murder him again, and then light him on fire, and just go from there. Like he was so pissed.
But about a preseason interception, huh?
Oh, dude, he was just the look on his face was a combination of being unbelievably dumbfounded and then just like, you've got to be kidding me with this guy.
I can't even think of a whole lot of other tough coaches in the league.
Bruce Arians is out. Sean Payton's kind of a smaller dude, but I bet you he's scrappy.
Yeah, Arthur Smith, I suppose, could be a little scrappy.
Oh, dude, we're missing out on one of the biggest ones. Motor City Dan Campbell.
Oh,
like he's gonna eat some kneecaps and get back up. Like it's gonna be nasty. He's basically the Viking. He's on the wrong. He's coaching the wrong team because he is a Viking in modern times.
You know what? Between him and the actual Vikings coach,
what, is Zimmer?
Yeah, Mike Zimmer.
Zimmer can't see out of one eye, and I think that's going to be tough.
I think that just makes him all the more wild in battle.
Kind of more. It's a little piratey that way. I don't know. Maybe. Let's see. Who else is in the NFC North?
LaFleur.
Oh, what's that? LaFleur. Yeah, and Nagy. Nagy looks like a guy who enjoys bar fights.
I think that might be the most well-rounded division.
And then LaFleur, he would probably, let's say they were fighting the NFC West. I think him and Kingsbury would probably hold each other.
Yeah, probably.
And just to be sure that neither of their hair got messed up.
What do you say we get to some emails?
That's fine. I'm done trashing our rival coaches.
I just know that Pete Carroll probably still would win in a fight with all the other coaches in the division.
In the division? Oh, yeah. My money would be on Pete.
Okay. The youth doesn't matter.
No. And, I mean, McVay's going to be weighed down by all that hair gel.
Well, Pete just, lights a match and immediately, I mean, McVay, his hair just combusts.
He's the Human Torch. Yeah.
Ryan Bowen comes in, and this is the group of people that I mentioned on the last show that have all the streaming ideas. So if you are in the position to where you're not sure of how you're going to watch football this year, maybe you can't get DirecTV, maybe there's some other better priced options here, but I've assembled everybody's suggestions because I know you and I think we're okay on game day as far as being able to get the games.
Most of the time, the YouTube TV freaks out every time I go on a road trip, and it can't seem to figure out my location.
Oh, well, there may be a solution in here for you.
Yeah, I need a hacker VPN. That's what I need.
One of these does have that option. I think it's toward the end. I'll start out with Ryan Bowen says, "Hey boys, DAZN streaming service, pronounced DAZN. All teams live, no blackouts. It's from Canada, and you get other sports like soccer and boxing, etc. And not expensive. You can go monthly or $100 for the whole season, including playoffs."
Oh,
so I wonder if we have access to that here, or if that's just in Canada.
I don't know, but I'm willing to. I'd shell out $100 for that.
Shlomo David comes in, says ExpressVPN costs around $100 per year, plus NFL Network from Indonesia is $100, and you can watch all games for free, including Red Zone. You first connect to Indonesia or Brazil, then you go to the NFL Network and register as if you are from Indonesia. Works perfectly, and you can watch all the games. There's a guide online if you look for VPN and NFL.
That feels like you have to spend some time on the dark web.
Well, not dark web, but I think there's... If you know how to set up a VPN, you can eventually figure it out.
This is for our more advanced blockers.
Yeah, I want to throw all the options out there. Clint comes in, says, "Longtime listener, first-time caller. I keep hearing you guys talk about having difficulties watching games since you're out of market. I fought with this for a while myself, and the best thing to do by far is to get NFL Game Pass International." See, this is what David was talking about too. There's an easy workaround. Since you obviously live in the US, just get a VPN. It'll make you appear as if you're in a different country. There are many VPNs available and pretty cheap. And then, yes, you sign up for a Game Pass with the VPN activated and watch all the games via the VPN. And he's right that the Game Pass International is pretty awesome because you can do... It's set up in the same way as the DirecTV Sunday Ticket, where you can watch multiple games on the screens, and they have access to condensed view after the game. It's like having Game Pass, except having everything live at the same time.
So Game Pass Plus.
Yeah, the people who are international that have access to the Game Pass, that's what it should be for all of us.
Right.
But they make us do the VPN thing because DirecTV.
Now we know for sure that the NFL hates America because they don't put America first.
Thanks, NFL.
Yeah, thanks a lot, you commies.
William Rawls says, hey, Brandon, looking forward to the new season. I have a good feeling about this year. I'm writing you quickly to let you know that a good way to stream NFL games. I'm over here in Ireland, and I use an app called Dofu, or Dofu Sports. I don't know how legal it is, to be honest, so I would not broadcast it. It's an American app, and I was able to watch all games last year in 4K. Hopefully it works for a backup plan. Chat again soon. Go Hawks. From William.
Go Hawks, William. Yeah, I wonder if William still has all of his euros in his bank account after using that app.
You did the Batman stream for a while.
I did. But I did it on a computer that I did nothing else on. Like, it didn't have any of my personals on there.
Well, Matt in Denver has another option here. Says, I understand if you don't want to share this because it's watching pirate streams, but you said you'll be talking about how to watch the games if you download the app Dofu Sports. Oh, this is the one William uses. Then you look for streams for almost any sporting event you can think of. And the best part is no shady websites covered with ads. They'll live stream, because that's the thing you had to worry about with the Batman stream, right?
Yes.
Is it was ads everywhere.
Yeah. And you'd have to like hunt for the ways to close them and like, yeah.
So no shady websites covered with ads. They'll live stream every football game in YouTube. Or if you want to let me into the Discord, I can post the YouTube stream every week. Occasionally the stream will get taken down and they'll start a new one within a few minutes.
The best part about this that I enjoy is that he tried to leverage it to get into the Discord without having to be a flocker. And I know some people would be like, that's cheating, but I kind of respect it. So let him into the Discord. That's my vote.
Okay.
But we could take a vote in the Ring of Honor, whether or not Matt with his shady side deals should be allowed in. I'm for it.
I like it. We just have everybody give the thumbs up or thumbs down gifts in the comments.
Everybody in the Ring of Honor gets to play Emperor for a day with Matt's fate hanging in the balance. I love this.
Okay. Well, email me, Matt, and I will let you know what your fate is.
I enjoyed that very much.
Tiger Hawk comes in, says, I use a program from Think Skysoft called iTools Pro and change my phone's GPS location to Seattle and then use my YouTube TV account to watch the games. I have Apple TV, so I just AirPlay it to them from my phone. I would think this would work with the NFL app for free as well. Hope this helps some of the listeners. If they have an Android, there are loads of apps to fake your GPS location, but this is the one that I found that works with iOS. So there you go, Adam.
What was that called again?
iTools Pro.
All right. I feel like an iTool Pro. So yeah, I think that's the one for me. And I already have the YouTube TV thing.
There you go.
So yeah.
Well, this could be an option then too, because I think like if your phone is set to GPS in Seattle, you can get the Seahawks, like the Rabel stream.
Yes. Because when I'm in Seattle, like I get the Como or whatever it is, the Seattle station.
This is good.
Yeah.
This is good stuff.
No, these are football life hacks right here. And from our amazing listeners, you guys stepped up in a big way.
See, the NFL doesn't make this easy. There's 5 different ways that you can make it happen. And there you go. That's got to work for somebody. And it's all levels of technical expertise too.
Sure. And in some instances, you might just lose your identity in the whole situation.
But it's totally worth it.
Totally worth it.
On to do better and better at life.
My do better this week is for my semi-temporary neighbor, Chris, who's working with my permanent neighbor, Brandon. And He's from New Jersey and a fantasy football nerd. And he runs a league and comes down and uses my Wi-Fi to run the league, which I'm cool with. And just excited to talk football with somebody, right? He's a young guy. He's like 25. Just fired up for his fantasy draft this year. And it's literally one of the only things he talks about. Like, he's kind of that guy. I mean, I like him, but like, okay, cool it with the fantasy. Like, I got it. I know that, you know, in your keeper league, you keep in J.K. Dobbins, and like a bunch of other guys, and you lose draft picks, whatever. I don't really care. But he keeps asking me like advice leading up to his draft, which took place yesterday. And one of the big things is that he was like, "Whoa, I'm gonna get Allen Robinson in the third round, and he's gonna have a huge year." Andy Dalton's the best quarterback he's ever played with. I mean, Allen Robinson, like he's amazing, you know, and on and on and on about freaking Allen Robinson. And so I just, you know, kind of mentioned gently, I'm like, well, how about Tyler? You know, how about Lockett?
Yeah.
Well, you know, he's in blah, blah, blah. Oh, well, yeah, he only set the franchise record for receptions last year and is playing in a more pass-happy offense this year that's going to run a lot of slants, take advantage of his, his quickness and all of that. He only happens to be Russell Wilson's, security blanket and criminally underrated throughout the league. But yeah, go ahead. Take freaking Allen Robinson if you want. The pick comes up. He looks at me. He goes, taking Robinson. And he does it. So after all that, after weeks listening to this, trying to give him advice, trying to talk him into one of the future Hall of Famers, Tyler Lockett, having him as his wide receiver 3, he goes with Allen freaking Robinson. Chris from New Jersey, do better.
Why even ask your advice? You need to handle him the way you would handle a teenager. And be like, I don't know how you phrase that.
I totally should have reverse psychology.
How do you use reverse psychology to make that work?
Well, I mean, despite picking Allen Robinson over Tyler Lockett, he's a very bright kid who I like very much. So that might not have worked. I don't know. The best part is that to watch football this year, he's going to have to come down to my house because I'm the only one with the interwebs. So every week when Tyler's tearing it up and Allen Robinson is playing with the corpse of Andy Dalton, I'll get to say I told you so every single week.
Who else is Andy Dalton going to be thrown to?
The ground?
Most likely.
Yeah.
My do better this week is for old curmudgeon, former Patriots quarterback Scott Zolak, who this past week was criticizing Cam for dancing in practice because they were playing music at practice, and he thought it was too much of a distraction. He said in between every throw, he's dancing. He makes a throw, and the music's still cranking. Man, old man Scott Zolak can't get over the fact that guys might actually have fun while they're at practice, listening to music, and I guess now he doesn't have to worry about it. Still, Zolak, do better.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't hear his tone and tenor, but would it have mattered if it was like line dance music?
I think Cam would have been out there dancing no matter what kind of music it was.
Right. I think Zolak would have had a problem with whichever kind of music. But yeah, I mean, did Zolak confuse the practice field with his own front lawn? Like, get off my lawn, Cam Newton.
I don't want my quarterback out there having fun and dancing between throwing passes.
Boo. Can't stand it.
Guys can have fun out there, Scott.
Yeah.
Did I tell him to do better? Did I say do better? That guy needs to do better.
Yeah. Make sure you finish that off right.
Do better.
Wait, there you go. See, because that first do better, that wasn't
kind of weak.
That was almost a Belichickian do better.
Do better. I think that would have fit.
Well, actually, it would have. All right. So I'm sorry, my fault. I should have done better with criticizing you. Do better.
I'll do better at life.
My better at life than Skip Bayless this week are the suckers over at the Ford dealership in Billings, Montana, because I got to trade in my 06 Ranger, which is an amazing pile of crap. Even though almost everybody else I've ever known to have a Ranger, it's gone forever and been an amazing truck. Not mine. Mine was a nightmare from the word jump when I bought it. And so I managed to limp that over there, and they gave me a significant amount of cash for this thing that is going to blow up like any given second. So to those jokers, those suckers over in Billings, Montana, thanks for that. You're better at life than Skip Bayless.
More money in Adam's pocket for a crappy rig.
Well, not really more money. I mean, I'm renting a truck from the bank now.
Yeah,
so
you turned it around to hopefully have less problems.
Hopefully, yeah. So the term is usually mo money, mo problems. So hopefully now that I have less money, I'm going to have less problems.
That's a good way to think about it.
That's how I talked myself into, buying I've never, ever, ever, ever in my life come remotely close to buying a new car. And that's on purpose. I think it's stupid, but I kind of am forced to. I've tried every way from Sunday to avoid this with my job, with all the driving I do. And it wasn't until my dad looked at me. He's like, "Will you just quit catfishing around and take an L and just buy a new truck?"
Now we'll see. Now we'll get to see if you can tell him I told you so in a few years.
I surely hope not. I want to eat crow on this one all day.
Well, I'm going to close this off and give a better at life than Skip Bayless to our Seahawks team mascot, Blitz. He's raising money, kicks for kids. I know it's something that the Seahawkers group as a whole has teamed up to help raise money for. It's a good cause. You're raising money for kids, getting them sneakers for the start of the school year. Thought it was a good cause that Blitz is raising money for. The Seahawkers are helping raise money for. I know the individual chapters, there's a little bit of a competition going on. So if you are part of your chapter, make sure if you donate on the website to get that information to your chapter leader. And then that way, we can all be competitive at the various chapters and we can see who comes out on top. And ultimately, the kids end up winning because Blitz is getting them sneakers. So to Blitz, better at life than Skip Bayless.
For sure, better at life than Skip Bayless. I think anybody that taps into your selfish competitiveness to benefit children, I think that's a genius maneuver.
Absolutely, yeah, and
somehow we need a president that does that.
Yeah, like the U.S. president.
Yes, yeah, somebody who gets us all to be tap into our selfish competitiveness to benefit the children of the nation.
I think you're onto something.
Yeah, I'd be my entire platform if I ran for president. So vote for me, and I'd take third in the presidential ass kicking contest.
So who do you think would beat you?
Well, I mean, apparently Abe. I didn't know he was a street fighter. So there's that.
Okay, well, and I had figured that, but who's is it George or TJ?
I honestly think it's Teddy. Just because, I like Teddy, and then I take fourth because I'm standing behind the Andrew Jackson pick. I mean, he beat the Banks. He could probably beat me. But everybody else on the presidential list, get ready for your ass whooping.
Well, if you want to help support the Kicks for Kids, you can go to Seahawks.com, click on the banner Kicks for Kids, or look for Blitz's mascot page. There's a big donate button right there. The goal is 3,000 pairs of shoes. And I think that was raised up. I think they started with an initial goal of 1,200, and they were doing so well, they upped it to 3,000.
Oh, sweet. Fantastic. Yeah, get on that, folks.
Get on that, and we are going to get on out of here. We got a game coming up in just a couple weeks. Seahawks, Colts, just a couple weeks away.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Don't know which Colts are playing, which ones aren't. Sounds like that's all up in the air. But either way, doesn't matter because the Seahawks are starting the season 1-0. There's your early prediction here right at the end of the show for you guys, and to leave the whole thing on a feel-good note.
And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.